I think GAWDA is absolutely essential to our industry, and if you're running a good business, you got to be a member of this organization.
It helps the manufacturers tremendously and the suppliers because they can come here and see the products, the new products that we're coming out with, and they know what they want to put into their stores.
The independent distributor culture is truly wrapped around relationships.
The relationships that you develop in GAWDA, they stick. You are friends with these people for life, and really couldn't ask for a better organization to be a part of.
From the very first meeting that I attended was absolutely welcoming. I mean, everybody was great.
The people in GAWDA are very friendly. They're very open to share ideas. Even when you're brand new, like, oh, you're brand new, yeah, come join us.
We want people involved, and GAWDA's done a really good job of that. You know, you get in at this level, and then this level, and the next thing you know, you could be the GAWDA president.
So the primary benefit that members usually talk about when they come to GAWDA is the consultants. The consultants are always there giving them updates on anything that's happening in the industry.
The biggest benefit I think you get from GAWDA is between the meetings, talk to people that may have had or having similar challenges, and they may be able to help lead you through that or point you in a direction so you're not on your own on an island.
I had come out of the telecommunications industry where it was a dog-eat-dog environment. And here are people that are competing on a daily level on the street, and they're talking about safety, and they're talking about best practices. And I'm like, they're sharing this information with competitors? That's insanity. I get it now, but coming from where I came from, it just made no sense at all.
I have to give a lot of credit to the manufacturers in this industry and a lot of the suppliers in this industry because the support that they continue to render to the independents and to the buying groups is, we couldn't do it without them.
One great thing about GAWDA is a big family. It doesn't matter if you have your customers, your suppliers, your competitors. At the end, we're all together and we support each other.
One of the running jokes, people don't really leave. Once this gas and welding business is in your blood, you don't leave the industry.
You'll change companies maybe, and you'll leave the industry. Some of them leave completely, but then they show back up. There's just something about it.
Business cards may change, titles change, but it's the same faces, and it's that GAWDA family environment that makes it so special.
I have not met anybody in this organization that is not an outstanding person. So it's just made up of great leaders and great companies.
60-some years now in this industry, and we find our best friends here.
I would say that GAWDA's a big part of my success in life. It really is, because there's a lot of good people in this organization.
This is a pretty tight-knit industry. Your suppliers or your industry peers are like family. They're friends. So I look forward to coming to events because I look forward to seeing my friends.
Well, I think the memories we get are, every year is something different. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's complex. We have different locations. Maui was always one of our favorites. Vancouver was a good one. The Bahamas, who could go wrong?
Well, one of my favorite conventions is always when we go to Hawaii. I'm always able to extend my time away from the office.
It's usually in Maui, and there's plenty of things to do. They spoil us to death, yeah.
I've had many, many great moments. The year of my convention, there was a limousine waiting to take us across the island. As we were coming across the island, all of a sudden there was this huge banner along the road with two hula girls, and the banner just said, "Dave and Donna Mahoney welcome you to Maui." And I thought that was awesome.
When I was a senior in high school, my father was a past president, and he came in with the past presidents behind him, like a boxing theme, coming into Rocky. It was really funny because he was taking the introduction to being a president very lightheartedly, and it was really entertaining.
Of course, the one in Mexico City I remember pretty well. The bus company was changing an engine on a tour bus out in the street by our hotel room, and we also took a trip to Tasco on that. And on the way back, the bus was stopped by a bunch of armed, looked like soldiers. We were all paraded off the bus at gunpoint, and they searched the whole bus. We finally got back on.
We got stuck once in Connecticut because, I don't know, we got like 4 foot of snow. So we were there for 3 days. So what could you do with a bunch of friends, bunch of GAWDA people, and you can't go out play golf, you can do all the activities we had to do. So we just drink for 4 days.
When 1974 was my first GAWDA meeting. It was in Mexico City. We got off the airplane, we went out with our luggage to roadside pickup. 3 street thieves grabbed our luggage, disappeared into a crowd. So we went to the hotel without luggage. We immediately had food and water and became intestinally involved. Our GAWDA experience was not very pleasant. It's a wonder we ever came back.
In 1993, we had the convention in Vancouver, and I was put in charge of a committee, and that committee was the Fun Run.
Abity was about 5. Wally ran the Fun Run, and Abity had a strategy. We were going to win, she and I. So we were in Stanley Park in Vancouver, and it was dark. So we got lost. Everybody got lost. People returned by cabs.
And everybody was absolutely furious. We had no idea who had won. We're not even to this day sure we recovered all the bodies.
So at the very end, Abity was crying very much. She was very tired. She was very mad. And she saw Wally Brandt, who she now calls Uncle Wally. And she said, "Wally, you're a mean man because we all got lost and you should have known it was too dark."
So that night, the entire GAWDA staff, or NWSA at that time, sent an enormous food and wine basket to my room for all the stuff that I had to endure.
So Wally's not a mean man, but our first memory was bratty.
When Mark Ramey was president, we put together a GAWDA band.
The GAWDA band was a unique thing. 7 or 8 of us got together. We had about a 20-minute unrehearsed rehearsal, so to speak, came up with 7 or 8 songs. Do you know this one? Do you know this one? Yeah, we know this one. What key is it in? That's it. That's all we needed to know.
They had a hired band that played, but then we got a bunch of different musicians from within the GAWDA community to go and play during their break.
They let us use their equipment, and we sat down and played 6 or 8 tunes, and it was just a ball. People in the hotel behind us and 7 and 8 floors up were clapping and dancing to Brown Eyed Girl. You know, it's that kind of a thing.
I had the privilege of having my SMC in New York City, which was the first meeting back in New York after 9/11. We had our contact booth on a boat driving around Lower Manhattan. And, as that boat went around Lower Manhattan and went by the tower sites and on out to the Statue of Liberty, everybody was just along the railings on the boat. Nobody was talking. Everybody was just staring out. It was a very somber moment.
So we've seen some amazing presenters, some amazing speakers. Mike Rowe was one, the Dirty Jobs Mike Rowe. He stayed and hung out at the convention. He was poolside hanging out with our group, and I just thought that was so humble and so down to earth.
I remember having Joe Theismann as one of the speakers, throwing footballs through the crowd. That was pretty cool.
Meeting in California, we had Ronald Reagan. And of course, Air Force One, they took their time. So Reagan was 2 hours late. And it was obvious what happened, but it didn't bother him. He came in and he made a hell of a speech.
I also remember the speakers that weren't so good. You know, Senator John Thompson from Tennessee was probably the biggest disappointment in the Bahamas. But fortunately, we were in the Bahamas, so it was good.
I remember one of the early conventions that we went to, and we took our newborn son with us. And we put a sticky name tag on our son's back, and we carried him. He was no more than 6 months old, and my wife and I took turns carrying him around, and he has GAWDA name tag on his back as we carried him throughout the reception.
1987, and she was 90 days old. Abity traveled with us. She's an only child. And while her mother was nursing her, we looked up and we saw Larry Kistler, the president, land in a helicopter for the MASH party. So Abity's first convention, she was 90 days old.
I can remember the early conventions, some of the owners dragging their kids to the meetings, and now I see them at the meetings holding positions as volunteers and committee chairs.
Coming to the events as a child, again, it was a little bit more of a vacation, but I will say there's colleagues now within the industry that I grew up with that now different capacity of conversations, of course, but a lot of familiar faces that I've known since my youth.
I have many memories just running around the cocktail hours and like chasing my brother and meeting other kids throughout the industry.
It's been amazing to grow up really at these conventions. I would play with kids at the pool that I now sit next to at our board meetings.
When I was little, like I said, we would come here for our family vacations and I would come with my brother and I would see Abity out by the pool and we would play with her. But now it's kind of surreal because I've had kids and she's had kids and now they're the same age, so now we're seeing that next generation come in.
One of the things that makes GAWDA so special is the heavy saturation of family-owned or closely held businesses.
When it's a family-owned company, there's some passion there. There is a servant leadership where you're responsible for the well-being of all the people that work with you and work for you. And I think as a family-owned company, that family envelope gets bigger.
Thing I think is really special about the 75th anniversary is that Abity is the president and that her father is a past president and that it's just it just shows how it is really family and that the generations are growing and we're growing too. So I think it's an exciting time.
And it's that type of succession planning and that heavy saturation of family businesses that makes this industry, I think, so special.
When I first came into the business, it was nothing like it is now. There was an awful lot of dog eat dog. There were more independent distributors. It's not that way anymore. Everyone's here to learn best business practices. You can see it, a lot of evidence, particularly with young people in the organization where our members are willing to take them under their wings, introduce them around to people, make sure they feel comfortable because we want them coming back. Wasn't that way 40 years ago.
I think it's become less of a party, it's become more of a content-driven meeting for the members to really get information and content out of it that they can apply to their business when they go back home.
I think the biggest change in the industry that I've experienced in the 20 years that I've been in the business is really the consolidation of companies like ours.
I think some of the biggest changes in the industry is the number of independents that are out there. The ones that have survived are stronger and have become more technical, more innovative.
A lot more innovation today, more focus. Back then, a lot of distributors used to sell anything and everything.
I'm very excited about the shift in culture where independent distributors are very comfortable working together in larger projects now. They help each other, they buy from each other, they enter into joint contract agreements, they build air separation plants together. There's a lot of things happening now that 15 years ago I would have never seen the independent distributors even attempting.
Something else where we've seen some progression within GAWDA is in technology, in the way we communicate. It has had a huge impact on our business, the speed with which things are getting done.
I've seen so much change in 28 years. Everything is about technology. It's higher and higher technology. And you can't possibly know everything. You just have to assume that you aren't going to know the answers and just say, I'll find out. And then go dig and learn. And every day there's something else to be learned.
So what I've seen that's improved is the focus on adding value to the members. And through that, there's more metrics to be able to measure the performance, measure the results, and improve on those results.
We've hired new people on staff that are helping accumulate information that instead of saying, here's what I think, we let the numbers lead the way, and we've got the staffing to do that now.
I think we see a lot more younger people in our industry, and women too, which is awesome. We're going to have our second woman president with Abity, and I just think that our industry and our membership should be very, very proud of that.
When I came back in 2012, was pleasantly surprised to see how many women had gotten involved in the industry. We'd had our first woman president, and now we have our second president coming up next year. That was a big change for me to see.
I've been around GAWDA, I guess, for 32 out of its 75 years. And the best thing that I can celebrate about this association is, what the next 75 years are gonna look like. That this is an industry that's evolving, it's an industry that's changing, but with GAWDA, we're able to make that progression.